Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yeshodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yeshodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yeshodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Gaurangi Bengalureshwar Gaurangi Bengalureshwar Gaurangi Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Prahlad Simha Jaya Ananta Dev Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Dev Prahlad Simha Jaya Ananta Dev Jaya Vamana Dev Vamana Dev Vamana Dev Jaya Vamana Dev Jaya Vamana Dev Jaya Vamana Dev Vamana Dev Jaya Vamana Dev Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtotra Sadashri Srimad Abhay Charanaravindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtotra Sadashri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्यामकुंड राधा कुंड गिरिगोवर्धन की जय ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय मायापुर श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय द्वारका धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय यमुना माई की जय भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी महारानी की जय समवेत गौरभक्त वृंद की जय गौरभक्त प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to Sri Guru and Shri Gauranga Jai Srila Prabhupada Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for ISKCON Seshadripuram's morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today I have been asked to take up 4th canto, 8th chapter and verse number 6 to 8. So this 8th chapter is called Dhruva Maharaja Leaves Home. So we will discuss these 2-3 verses today. I will chant the verse. Text 6. Atataha kriyate vamsham punya kirtehe kurudvaha swayam bhu vasyapi manor harer amshamsa janmanaha. Word by word translation. Ata, now, ataha, hereafter, kriye, kirtaye, I shall describe, vamsham, dynasty, punya kirtehe, celebrated by virtuous activities. Kuru ud vaha, O best of the Kurus. Swayambhuvasya, of Swayambhuva, api, even, Manoho, of the Manus, of the Manu, Harehe, of the personality of Godhead, Amsha, plenary expansion, Amsa, part of, Janmanaha, born of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Maitreya continued, O best of the Kuru dynasty, I shall now describe before you the descendants of Swayambhuva Manu, who was born of a part of a plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. Lord Brahma is a powerful expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although Brahma is Jiva Tattva, he is empowered by the Lord, and therefore he is considered a plenary expansion of the Supreme Godhead. Sometimes it happens that when there is no suitable living being to be empowered to act as Brahma, the Supreme Lord himself appears as Brahma. Brahma is the plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Swayambhuva Manu was the direct son of Brahma. The great sage Maitreya is now going to explain about the descendants of this Manu, all of whom are widely celebrated for their pious activities. Before speaking of these pious descendants, Maitreya had already described the descendants of impious activities, representing anger, envy, unpalatable speech, quarrel, fear and death. Purposely, therefore, he is next relating the history of the life of Dhruva Maharaj, the most pious king within the universe. Verse number 7, I'll read the translation. Swayambhuva Manu has two sons by his wife, Satarupa, and the name of the sons were Uttanapada and Priyavrata. Because both of them were descendants of a plenary expansion of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they were very competent to rule the universe, to maintain and protect the citizens. Purport. It is said that these two kings, Uttanapada and Priyavrata, were specifically empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unlike the great king Rishabha, who was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Verse number 8. King Uttanapada had two queens named Suniti and Suruchi. Suruchi was much more dear to the king. Suniti, who had a son named Dhruva, was not his favorite. The great sage Maitreya wanted to describe the pious activities of the kings. Priyavrata was the first son of Swayambhuva Manu, and Uttanapada was the second. But the great sage Maitreya immediately began to speak of Dhruva Maharaja, the son of Uttanapada, because Maitreya was very eager to describe pious activities. The incidents in the life of Dhruva Maharaja are very attractive for devotees. From his pious actions, one can learn how one can detach himself from material possessions and how one can enhance one's devotional service by severe austerity and penances. By hearing the activities of pious Dhruva, one can enhance one's faith in God and can directly connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus one can very soon be elevated to the transcendental platform of devotional service. The example of Dhruva Maharaja's austerity can immediately generate a feeling of devotional service in the hearts of the hearers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Urmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Chatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tamsa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha, Gopika, Kanta, Radha Kanta, Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrunda Vaneshwari, Rishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Itinamine, Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pitaka Swami Nitinamine Nama Acharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayine Gaurakatha Nagara Karamatarine. So now we will try to understand these three verses. So these three verses are coming in the context of this chapter called Dhruva Maharaja Leaves Home, where the life of Dhruva Maharaja has been explained, and it starts with the description of Maitreya Muni to Vidura, Mahatma Vidura, of the various sons of Brahma. So he is basically trying to explain how many sons Brahma had and what is their life history, like that he is talking. So first he is talking about the sons who were actually Naishtika Brahmacharis, who did not marry, and as a result they did not have any progeny, and therefore there is no further expansion of that family tree. So he talks all of that in one verse like that, and there he is talking about the four Kumaras headed by Sanaka, as well as Narada, Rubu, Hamsa, Aruni and Yati. So there he said all these sons did not live at home, meaning everybody lives at home only, right? Home means they live in a, we can call it temple sometimes, but home means some shelter. But here home means wife. So in a way we should say, so when we say Grahastha, then that means he's got a wife. So one who lives with a wife, in that sense it is called home. That is what Prabhupada explains in that verse. I am not getting into the detail. But these great personalities whom I just mentioned, they all took up brahmacharya life right from the beginning. They never married. So they sort of a Naishtika brahmachari, means those men who never allowed their sperm to come down to earth only. So they actually allow it to go to there's a kind of a yoga, Kundalini yoga they call it. Prabhupada has not written here, but I have read through other sources that they say when the semen goes up the spinal cord and goes up to the head, and then it actually floods the head, then that those persons become very, very powerful. So this Kundalini yoga, they say rising the Kundalini from the bottom, that means the Shakti from the bottom, like that, from the tail to the head, that is all there. So here this Naishtika Brahmachari means like this, those who have not dropped their semen. That is what's explained here. And there is nothing to explain further about these personalities in terms of the dynasties. That means this entire description is about what is the life of the sons of Brahma. So in that context, there is so much to be explained about great personalities like Kumaras, Narada Muni and all. But those are in different contexts and in different sections that has been explained. But in this context here, the context is to explain about the family tree of the sons of Brahma. So therefore he skips that quickly. I mean, he finishes that telling these are the sons of Brahma who are actually Naishtika Brahmacharis. So there is no further family tree for them. That is the matter. Then he talks about another son of Lord Brahma was irreligion, whose wife's name was falsity. From their combination were born two demons named Damba or bluffing and Maya or cheating. These two demons were taken by the demon named Nirti, who had no children. So the next son was called impious, who irreligion, who married a woman called falsity. As a result, what is the combination of irreligion and falsity? What you get is bluffing and cheating, right? So sometimes we also see this, when you marry, then we need to see what is the combination of the man and wife. They say, right, what the fertility of the soil only decides the fertility of the child or of the seed, what comes out of the soil, like this. So the husband and wife are great personalities, then the offspring is also good, but there are also combinations. Sometimes even they are very good, but it invariably, sometimes not invariably, sometimes they get a child who's actually very completely different from the parents, and that is another aspect that is there, because there's a very lot of permutation and combination in all these things, because each jiva is got his own karma. Like sometimes here there is some discussion happening about why is Lord Brahma having these kind of boys, religion coming as his boy, and then his descendants are all like cheating, bluffing, all this story. Then how come Brahma can have such children? Then that question comes. There it is mentioned that Prabhupada somewhere writes, I have read purports where he says, but these who come as their offsprings are also having some karma in their background. So it's, it is their karma, not because you are son of so and so that you should be like this. Because of that jiva's karma, that we have, that jiva is having a life which may not be exactly pious, like in case the parents are pious, or vice versa, in case the parents are very impious, like in the case of Hiranyakashipu, he got Prahalad Maharaj. So he is a demoniac person who was completely atheistic, but he got Prahalad Maharaj. So like this can happen. But by and large, if you generally see, like, they also say if they are nice people, then a good soul which is progressing will be given the parents who are great personalities. Therefore, that entire opportunity is there for that great soul to progress in Krishna consciousness. So they come in the family of such nice Brahmanas, it is mentioned. So that means generally children of nice, good-mannered, well-mannered, well-behaved, and nice devotees should also be nice devotees as a general rule, because that attracts a nice soul to come in their womb and take birth there. But there are also occasions like this where some not so great souls come in there. They also may have some connection with the karma of these two great devotees, husband and wife. Maybe there is some kind of little baggage there. As a result of this, such a son or a daughter has to come, which will create problem for them. So this is very, very difficult to understand very deeply, to say exactly, in this case can you explain, but in this can you explain, because there's so many permutation and combination. But there is always a background to whatever happens. Nothing is by chance. That we need to be very clear about. In Krishna's creation, there is nothing which is happening by chance, unlike these non-believers think. Everything happens by chance, nothing happens by chance. Everything is so very perfectly, minutely micromanaged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his various energies, sometimes by his personal intervention. That we need to understand. So now going forward, next is and who are there for subsequent thing. So Maitreya told Vidura, O great soul, from Damba and Maya were born greed and Nikriti, or cunning. Greed and cunning were born for Damba and Maya. From their combination came children named Krodha and Himsa. Krodha means anger, Himsa means envy. And from their combination were born Kali and his sister Durukti, harsh speech. So further down the line, there was Kali and Durukti. Now you see the next one. So they are basically brother and sister. O greatest of all great men, by the combination of Kali and Harsha, by the combination of Kali and harsh speech, basically Durukti, were born children named Mrityu, death, and Bhiti, fear. From the combination of Mrityu and Bhiti came children named Yatana, excessive pain, and Niraya. So now if you see, there is marriage between the brother and sister. So Prabhupada says this is where it started. If you see in many, like there is illicit sex between brother and sister in many places, particularly in the West, such things can be seen. I don't think we can rule out even in India such things are happening. So this all actually very irreligious to have a relationship with the, the own offsprings like sister and all that. But these things all happening because of the root father is actually irreligion and falsity. So from that all of these things are coming. So now next is, my dear Vidura, I have summarily explained the causes of devastation. One who hears this description 3 times attains piety and washes the sinful contamination from his soul. So that is why I was reading this. I tried to explain this 5 verses in a very short form, because you would have already heard it from the speakers before me, and this is the second time you are hearing. Maybe you should read it yourself 3rd time, so that when we read it 3 times, all of this irreligion and thing in our heart will go away. That is the blessing given by Maitreya. My dear Vidura, I have summarily explained the causes of devastation. One who hears this description 3 times attains piety and washes the sinful contamination from his soul. So these Bhagavatam verses are so purifying. So this cleanses also and also gives us bhakti. So cleaning process is necessary. So that is why we are, they said if you chant 1 time Hare Krishna perfectly, that is great and good enough, you can go back to Godhead. Then why are we chanting 16 rounds so many days? Or 64 rounds previously. So the reason is, to come to that point of chanting that one name purely, I need to cleanse myself nicely. So this chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra purifies my heart so nicely, and this purificatory process is actually required. Like this, so in Bhagavatam there are many such opportunities given to purify ourselves. Like in these cases, to remove our irreligious thoughts, to remove our greed, falsity, envy, all these things. When it's given here specifically, you read these 3 times, a lot of that thing will just go away from our heart so easily. So we should make use of such opportunities and purify ourselves. Okay, now let's come to the verse we are talking about now. So this verse says, Maitreya continued, O best of the Kuru dynasty, I shall now describe before you the descendants of Swayambhuva Manu, who was born of a part of plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Manu was born of a plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is mentioned here. That who's that plenary portion is Lord Brahma. So, and Prabhupada starts that description by saying Lord Brahma is a powerful expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we should not understand therefore immediately that this is a Vishnu Tattva expansion. No, Prabhupada immediately clarifies this is a Jiva Tattva. That means Brahma is a Jiva Tattva. But we should understand that still such a Jiva Tattva is very highly empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to the extent that it can be called as an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So very powerful. And also Prabhupada clarifies there are times when there is no qualified persons to handle the position of Brahmaji. Like we also do know, sometimes when we have some attrition in our office, we need to recruit some nice person to handle that role. And we feel there is no good candidate that I have got. They give existing staff, you take another dual role for some more time till I find a suitable candidate. So you take that drop also. That means we should understand we are actually very good. That is why the management has given us that thing. But of course, we are not talking that, therefore you become a donkey or whatever. But in a material sense, these are actually recognition. So in this sense here, Krishna, when he does not find a suitable person, he himself takes charge as Brahma. So those times it is actual direct expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There it is not Jiva Tattva. It is direct Krishna who is taking charge of the thing. And from such personality called Brahman, of course there are so many Brahmas, right? That is also understood. If you don't find a good candidate of Brahma, means what is the meaning? Therefore, today there is a Brahma, tomorrow there's next Brahma, there may not be a good candidate. But I don't know, I have read somewhere elsewhere that Lord Anjaneya is getting ready to become the next Brahma. I don't know. I've heard that he will be the next Brahma. In the current Brahma, 4-headed Brahma, next one will be the Anjaneya will be the next Brahma. So now, but in case there is no such qualified personalities, then Krishna himself expands as that Brahma. And that Brahma, it's too vast a life. Brahma's life is like, you can't keep on measuring it. It's very difficult, but I will give a simple way to measure that you can remember by memory. So one yuga, of course, that means in terms of, you can calculate if you have this understanding. That's exactly in terms of number of days, that's years, that you can calculate it by using this thing. So currently we are in Kali, it is 4,32 years. So now we have 4 yugas: Satya, Treta, Dwapara and Kali. So Kali is 432. Now Dwapara is double 432. So 432 into 2, that means 864. Then Treta is plus another 432. So you add, so 864, whatever I said, you add another 432. That will be some 12 point something. You add another 432 to find the Satya Yuga's life. So Satya Yuga is that much, Dwapara is this much. So 432 into 2 is this one, 432 into 3 is this one, and 432 into 4 is Satya Yuga. So now we add all this. That means that 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, and 1 time of 432 is how much? That will be one full number of years of a unit of Satya, Dwapara, Treta and Kali. Now Brahma's one day is thousands of such 4 yugas. Correct? So you calculate that. Once you found out that into 1000 you calculate, that is equal to the 12 hours. Then multiply by 2, that will become 1 day. Now multiply that by 31 into 12 into 100. So this way you will arrive at the actual number of life of Brahma. Now in this situation we are talking about Swayambhuva Manu here. So who is Swayambhuva Manu is described as the son of Lord Brahma. So if he is son of Lord Brahma, if he is son of Lord Brahma, this Swayambhuva Manu's, what is his scope of existence and scope of ruling and all that. So Brahma said, this is my such a huge life, I just cannot manage everything by myself like that, I need help. So then because of that, this Manus were conceptualized. Okay, these Manus come and rule on behalf of Lord Brahma. Okay, how many Manus will come? In 1 day of Brahma, 14 Manus. So if you are talking about 1 day of Brahma, which is equal to 1000 cycles of these 4 yugas, that means if you divide 1000 cycle by 14, you get sort of 71.37 cycles of that 4 yugas. So if there are 71.37 cycles, in that much time, 1 Manu will come and go. Then the next Manu will come. Then he will again be there up to 71.37 cycles of 4 yugas. Like this, 14 such Manu comes and goes. 1 day of Brahma is over. Then he goes for sleep. That is the lifetime of 14 Manus. Of course, there is no Manu at that time. Nothing is there. Everything is sleeping. Then again Brahma comes, another 14 Manu come. Brahma wakes up, another 14 Manus comes. And Brahma again sleeps. So this cycle goes on. Just imagine, it's mind-boggling. And this Manu he is talking about is the first Manu, Swayambhuva Manu. And today, our lifetime, today you and I are alive in the time of Vaivasvata Manu. Vaivasvata Manu, I think, is the 7th Manu or 8th Manu. So you can calculate. So from Swayambhuva Manu, which part of Brahma's life we are in? Brahma's day we are in, maybe we are in the afternoon of Brahma's day. Because 14 Manus, we are in the 7th or 8th, means we are somewhere in the middle. Maybe it is 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock of Lord Brahma in his time frame. So we are in the middle. We are now in Vaivasvata Manu. Vaivasvata Manvantare, Jambudvipe, Bharadavarshe, Bharadakande, like this. Whenever you do Sankalpa, when you are in front of the Lord, they say, I don't want to do an Archana, or you are doing some Sankalpa. When you are doing Homa, they will say, do Sankalpa. That time they will say, in which Manu's life, in which planet, which place, all these things are described. That is where you are giving a Sankalpa saying, I am so and so, doing from so and so place, who is the descendant of this Manu, like this, and therefore you give an identity of yourself by that. And then you say, I am doing this yajna, I am doing this archana, like this, you are, that introduction, like that. So now, okay, so this is the situation of Swayambhuva Manu, and here it is described about Swayambhuva Manu's dynasty. So that is the first one. And here there is another aspect which Prabhupada is talking about. Now earlier he talked about this impious situation of the Brahma's one son and his lineage. Therefore, sometimes, there's always, when you hear such things, it is very devastating, it is very difficult to know all this impious thing, falsity, greed, envy, then, marriage between brother and sister, and further, the next generation becomes so bad. When you hear all these things, you feel so bad. Then Maitreya said he immediately wanted to jump to the positive side of it. When there is negative side, then we all need something positive, right? When you are in life, it's always about some distress followed by some happiness, some sadness followed by some happiness, like this. So Maitreya wanted to immediately jump to the other side. Therefore, he is now coming to this Manu's family, and within Manu, he has two sons. Manu has two sons. Swayambhuva Manu particularly. We are talking about Swayambhuva Manu. He has two sons by his wife, Shatarupa, and the names of the sons were Uttanapada and Priyavrata. So this Swayambhuva Manu had two sons, Uttanapada and Priyavrata. Priyavrata was the elder son and Uttanapada is the second son. Now, normally you are supposed to talk about Priyavrata and his entire line. Then you talk about Uttanapada and his entire line. But here, Maitreya is more interested in going to Uttanapada first, because Uttanapada's line had Dhruva Maharaj, and his perfection of this pious activities. So to balance that impious activity which he described earlier, he immediately wants to talk about piety, and therefore he is talking about he is going to talk about Dhruva Maharaj, who is in the line of this Uttanapada, even though his elder brother Priyavrata could have been explained about his life, and his family tree could have been explained before, but he jumps. Sometimes we also know we want to tell the good news first. Sometimes we want to, there may be other things are also nice and important, but we skip it, we go to the next one. So like this, Maitreya goes towards this Uttanapada's descriptions. And next one is King Uttanapada had two queens named Suniti and Surichi. Surichi was more dear to the king. Suniti, who had a son named Dhruva, was not his favorite. And here it is also mentioned in the previous verse that Uttanapada and Priyavrata were also very powerful personalities, because they are, after all, descendants from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Brahma, Uttanapada, then these two. Swayambhuva Manu, then Uttanapada and Priyavrata. So Prabhupada is saying, because both of them were descendants of the plenary expansions of Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they were very competent to rule the universe, to maintain and protect the citizens. So such great personalities that they are featuring in Srimad Bhagavatam. Not an ordinary thing. But then Uttanapada was also afflicted by material considerations, right? So he had two wives. Of course, it's not, the discussion is not about why to have two wives or why not to have two wives. That's not the discussion, because that is allowed in the Vedic times. Many of them were also actually brahmachari. I will explain a very small, many times we see people saying, oh, this is all very male chauvinism. Why are men allowed to marry many women? Why not women marry many men? Because these are all social things which sometimes as preachers we should be aware. Sometimes devotees don't want to talk about such things, but then we need to understand these so that we can explain correctly why such things are happening. So actually this is not the case, because women are given so much importance in the Vedic times. Women were never considered as a lower being or anything like that. They were considered mothers, right? And wherever the women is there, they are celebrated like anything in any family, in the Vedic families, really speaking. But here you have to understand, you also saw in Brahma's first few sons all became Naishtika brahmacharis. But women don't become brahmacharis, right? Brahmacharinis. They are not. generally, women are generally to be protected. So they were generally, protection means it is important that physically we have some characteristics. We are weak. Anyone who's weak, a child has to be protected. You can't say then no, equality of right. Why should the child be cared for? I will never cared for, so don't care for the child. If you take that argument, it is foolish. Similarly, women are weak physically like that, so they need to be protected. It is not about male chauvinism. Why can't women protect men? Yes, you can. Today we are saying military women are there, they are protecting men. That is a different story. But the idea is, by and large, there has to be protection for women. So in that context, women will get married as per Vedic system, but not all men marry, because in those days, in Kali Yuga at least, this brahmacharya is forbidden, sannyasa is forbidden. Then you don't ask me why is ISKCON giving sannyasa. ISKCON is also very, very choosy. It doesn't give everybody sannyasa. It's very difficult to get sannyasa in ISKCON. It's not a small thing to get sannyasa in ISKCON. You have to be at that really very, 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 very high level to get into sannyasa mode. There are so many before screening happens, so it's not easy, because preaching also needs to go on, right? Sannyasis are 24/7 preaching, and Krishna consciousness has to be spread. Therefore, sannyasa. Therefore, you don't classify it as Kali Yuga or Satya Yuga or whatever. This is transcendental activity. In that sense, it is allowed, but not generally in common parlance. Therefore, these brahmacharis will not marry, but there are equal number of men and women that we always see, because there is no distinction, right? Today we are killing. At least, I've heard many times that girl children are killed in the womb itself like that. That's why they brought in these rules. Like you cannot do a scanning and then reveal the sex of the child. So, but those days they never did anything like this. So, there will be equal number of men and women, but when every woman has to be protected, but not all men are getting married, what do you do? Therefore, you say, okay, one man can marry two women, and he has to give protection to both of, when two women or three women, whatever was the case, Dasharatha had many, whatever. So, they have to protect. That is the most important thing. The ability is, you should be able to be very, equally disposed between all the wives. There are so many rules and regulations for that. I'm not getting into that. But in this case, our Uttanapada maybe was not like that. He was not equally disposed between both his wives. And therefore, he was more attracted to this wife, what is her name? Surichi. And Suniti was neglected. So that is the worst part of it. And therefore, what all can happen when we need to give equal weightage to all people who are dependent on us. There are a lot of lessons to be learned in general, like, okay, this is like this, but then what is in it for me? Why should I? So therefore, how do we care for people under me? I should not have any biases against one person versus other person. I have two children. I need to be equally disposed between these two children. I have my parents equally disposed. I have my brothers. I need to be equally disposed between all of them. If I am an elder brother, I need to be even more considerate about my younger brothers. If I am an younger brother, I need to be treating my elder brother like my father and mother. These are all, these systems have been given in the Vedic thing because they make for a perfect living. They make everything so nice. In those days, it was like that. Today, we have sort of disengaged from that concept of family, and everything becomes very, very individualistic, very nucleus. And therefore, when you go out into the society, there is so much of problem. Children are not able to cope up with outside relationships, simply because we are not able to have a proper relationships within the family itself. So there is no that brother, sister, that then their children, that uncle. All these things are not so very close. It is like meeting a neighbor. We don't have that kind of a relationship with our own family members. As a result, these children don't get an opportunity to experience things in within a family. When you chastise, then you also immediately hug and do all those things. But such things doesn't happen for these children. When they go out into the outside world, they are thrown into a sudden jungle. So there is so much of emotional problems which children are facing today. simply because we are denying them this opportunity to develop as a wholesome personality. Anyway, then these things sometimes I tend to speak because we need to see how does this relate to me, how does Bhagavatam apply to my day-to-day life. So sometimes it may be material to look at, but at the end of it, we need to see how we can progress, and we need to see our material condition is nice so that we can progress in Krishna consciousness. So in that respect, here Uttanapada is not a great example, that he did not equally treat both his wives. As a result, you will see that later. I don't want to go into telling the story of Dhruva Maharaj because the next speaker will have to speak on that. But the point that I want to focus is that because of this this bias that Uttanapada had, there is injustice within his own family. Let me see any other point which Prabhupada talks about. Then it is talked about why does Maitreya Muni, therefore quickly, we already saw he wanted to discuss about piety because he earlier described about impiety. So then quickly he is jumping to Uttanapada and skipping sort of his elder brother Priyavrata, and even Uttanapada is more focused on Dhruva Maharaj. So that is because the idea of Srimad Bhagavatam is also to bring devotees closer to devotional life. So, and Dhruva Maharaj's life is a perfect example of pure devotional service. So, he is just quickly jumping there, and it is Prabhupada is writing, this incident in the life of Dhruva Maharaj are very, very attractive for devotees. That's why you will see Dhruva Maharaj story, Prahalad story, always talked about by devotees. Very blissfully they talk about these pastimes. Why? Because they are very attractive to devotees. Naturally they are attractive, and therefore devotees tend to speak more about these pastimes. And it also says, from his pious actions, one can learn how one can detach himself from material possessions and how one can enhance one's devotional service by severe austerities and penances. So Dhruva Maharaj, he was a child, right? I don't know, 5-year-old, whatever, maybe less than 6-year-old. Such a child performing such austerity in a jungle alone, it's not an easy thing. And of course, whatever, he had his darshan of Lord, and he became, later he got a planet by itself, all that is there. But when he got so much of opulence, here the point he is talking about is, he got so much of opulence, he was the owner of a big planetary system, Dhruva Maharaj planet. And there is nobody who can conquer him, because the Lord has said, now you are the boss here, you rule over, that's it. Therefore nothing can happen which can shake his position there. Unlike here in democracy, 5 years you may be thrown out, or even in the what you call in the kingly system which was followed earlier, you can be dethroned by another military power, by another king. But here Dhruva Maharaj clearly given, you are the boss, and that is given by Krishna, so nobody can shake him. And he had all the opulences in his life, but he showed so much detachment of not wanting to simply have sense gratification. He used everything in the service of the Supreme Personality of God, and that is the life of Dhruva Maharaj, which is there for devotees to learn, that how do I lead a life which is detached from material opulence. Sometimes devotees will be opulent. That is distinct of by destiny. They may be rich, they may be from family of rich people, they may have a good karma, because of it they may get a lot of money. So be it. But how do I use everything, dovetail everything in the service of Krishna? That is very important. And Dhruva Maharaj was a perfect example of that. He showed that very nicely. And therefore, his life is very pious, and reading that and trying to take lessons from that is very important for devotees. That's what Prabhupada is saying. Then he's saying, from his pious activities, one can learn how one can detach himself from material possessions, and how one can enhance one's devotional service by severe austerities and penances. By hearing the activities of pious Dhruva, one can enhance one's faith in God and can directly connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's so powerful. We can directly connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by hearing Dhruva Maharaj's pastime. This is Prabhupada's words. And thus, one can very soon be elevated to the transcendental platform of devotional service. So, by trying to understand Dhruva Maharaj's pastime, by trying to follow in his footsteps, we can immediately or very quickly, very soon, Prabhupada is using the word, very soon be elevated to the transcendental platform of devotional service. The example of Dhruva Maharaja's austerity can immediately generate a feeling of devotional service in the hearts of the hearers. These are amazing things. Therefore, when such words are there from Prabhupada, or even we saw that hearing these things will take the first 5-6 verses 3 times you hear, you are immediately cleansed, or you are cleansed of all your anarthas. Big time anarthas will go away. These things we should immediately capitalize. What is the secret of improving in devotional service? Read Srimad Bhagavatam. And particularly there are secrets hidden in between. Some gems are there here and there. Not here and there, everywhere. If we are able to take that, and if I have this weakness of some impiety, irreligion in my heart, then read those things 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Then that purificationary process happens. And then, of course, simultaneously, we are trying to do our direct devotional service. But in the process, sometimes we are having obstacles. How do I get over them? Read Srimad Bhagavatam from those specific, they say, right? Read Gajendra Moksha for this. Read Kaliya for this. So, okay, sometimes when you have Sarpa Dosha, something people say, oh, you have Sarpa Dosha, read Kaliya. See, if I have fear of Sarpa, I'm always fearing Sarpa. Then better read Kaliya. No, it's from Srimad Bhagavatam. I am reading the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By that, my devotion is increasing, but my whatever negativity because of the Sarpa is going away. So, use all the facilities given by our Acharyas in pure devotional service for cleansing ourselves. That means removing the anarthas. And naturally, by chanting Hare Krishna, which is anyway part of our daily life, that we are actually even coming to that pure devotional service point of view. But reading Srimad Bhagavatam is most important. And these kind of in between, these YSSs, in particular relation to each one's problems or whatever, these actually help alleviate those situations and get us closer to Lord Sri Krishna. I end here. If there are any comments, questions, welcome. Okay.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Dandat Pranam.
Dandat Pranam, Prabhu. Thank you very much. I thank all the devotees for attending today's program and be patiently listening to me. All of you are, I see here, Uttam Damodar Prabhu, Achita Prabhu, Shanta Govinda Prabhu, Shruti Mataji. All of you are nicely, elevated personalities. But thanks for giving a nice hearing for me. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Madhav.
Madhav Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I have a sharing.
Yes, Prabhu, please.
In the 8th verse, it is mentioned that Dhruva Maharaj austerity is glorified here. How to consider for take-home message. So I'm not in that elevated level to follow all those austerities. Whatever the austerities are there, how to proceed with that, how to understand from this. Severe austerities or
so
whatever Acharya.
Human form of human life, Prabhu, is actually for austerity. Human life, the main distinction, we talk about human and animal life in our Bhakti Vrikshas, but if you really, at an elevated stage, human life is meant for austerities. Austerities means understanding that I am not the body. Because, see, we are all the time thinking of body. And we have to understand I am soul. Now, to come to the soul platform, I should come out of body platform. To come out of body platform, I have to deny body. In a sense, that doesn't mean I'm saying, therefore, you start 15 days fast or anything like that. That is not what the point. But the point is, austerities means follow what the Acharyas has given as specific rules and regulations. For example, right now we are in Chaturmasya. And right now we are in Damodar month. Okay, in Chaturmasya, these are the austerities. Follow, don't take milk, don't take curd, don't take things. So many of us find it very difficult. Sometimes in that month when you can't take curd, it's very burning. And because we are all used to, South Indians are used to eating so much of curd. So if you say this whole month you can't touch curd, it is austerity, it is difficult. But then when you do that, that is what it is. And as you do, we improve. Then sometimes as we come further, then towards the last 5 days, they say in Damodar, last 5 days, do this. Like, we follow the Bhishma Panchaka. Very difficult for most people. There are 4 levels given. Try whatever level we can do. Okay, if you are sick, there's a problem, that's a different story. But can we improve that? So I have not done last day, can I do it? So like this, people can slowly improve. All of us are, if you really see, today you are doing some level of austerity. You were not doing this 10 years back or 5 years back. Like you might not have been doing Ekadasi. Today you are doing Ekadasi nicely. So currently I am having this level of austerity. How can I increase it to the next level, right? But one thing is clear. I need to completely come to this point of I am not the body, and it includes mind and intelligence. So austerity in terms of how I also train my mind not to be sense gratifying, train my intelligence not to be sense gratifying, how I learn to surrender to my spiritual master. So at different levels, body, mind and intelligence, I need to see how I can how I can apply austerity. Yes, as you said, I am not very strong in austerity, but I am better than what I was 5 years back. That is a statement. You can't deny that. Now, that doesn't mean I will stop here. I need to see, okay, now what? Can I take one step further? Just like you are saying, right? How do we increase chanting? First you start with 1 round, then you do 2 rounds, 3 rounds, then you say, study yourself, take first level of Siksha, 1 round you take Siksha. Then you come to 4 rounds, they stand between 4 and 8 rounds, you say, okay, you take 4 rounds of Siksha. So, initially you would have said, no, I at my level I can't do 4. But over a period of time, you are able to do 4, and then you can't, at that level you say, no, I can't do 8. But then later you do 8. Like this, we have to keep on progressing. Look for each opportunity to improve our austerity. Austerity means it's not like, unauthorized things. Austerity means what is given by the acharyas. So does it make sense? Uttam Damodar Prabhu wants to say something here. Prabhu, you want to add something, please? Go ahead.
Prabhu, just a little more understanding, probably a better understanding from you is austerity doesn't only mean physical austerities. Yeah. Like, fasting, as you said, 15 days and then, sleeping on the ground. Yes, there are certain austerities which we can take it up. But Srila Prabhupada always said that not at the cost of austerity should not be done at the cost of preaching. You can't be fasting and then staying back in the temple or at home the whole day. Go out and preach, go out and distribute books. This is what he would insist. So austerity also means going out and preaching, going out and distributing books. Austerity also means doing services. I'm not used to sweeping and mopping, but then I still do it in the temple. That's an austerity for me. So austerity is not only taking physical strain, so it goes beyond that. And as you rightly said, the first austerity for us is to realize that I'm not this body, I'm the spirit. So this is what I wanted to add, Prabhu, if that's okay with you.
Yes, Prabhu, that is very nice. That's what I was saying. See, the mind and intelligence also. For example, the mind, I'm not comfortable going out on the street and doing something, right? Something means particularly book distribution or a Damodar program or whatever. But if I go there, that is an austerity. So how you purify thinking that, I am not the body, I am the soul, I am a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So like Prabhu said, that means if you are able to completely engage fully in devotional service, that itself is a big that is austerity, because you have left your material engagement. Material engagement is for the body, but if I am fully involved in spiritual life, that's what Uttam Damodar Prabhu is actually meaning by saying, if you are doing devotional service, then you are not body platform. That means you have already come out of the bodily platform. As much as we are in that direct devotional service, you are in austerity. That's the other aspect of it. Very nice, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Is it okay? I mean, when I spoke more on your point, Prabhu, was that okay, in line with your thinking?
Yes, Prabhu. Thanks for the detailed understanding for, the soul perspective that austerity is, and moving to that devotional service. So that is
Yes.
what.
Yes. Yes. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much, all devotees. We will meet again another time. Hare Krishna. We will end here, Revatinathan Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, you are the host.
Oh, okay. Thank you.